we still have, but not very many of them, we still have single-sexed schools, colleges at senior school level. Very few of them left, but we do still have them.
Right near the restaurant.
Ready.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
Oh,
I usually go that way.
today is
Oh, you looked around about there.
today
That one.
is
Takes you back out, you know.
14. Yeah. Parang mas maganda yung pen school. Oh, I have to borrow that.
This is a big college. Look, folks, in here on your right-hand side, you see? St. Kieran's College. You know, it looks fabulous from the outside, but a lot of these places are very old, and they would, you know, require, you know, a lot of maintenance and heating and things. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, need to spend a lot of money. These schools now are all non-fee paying schools. We do have fee paying schools, but most of them are non-fee paying, so they're paid for by the state. So you pay for that in your taxes.
So by university, the one we just passed, is that more high school level?
No, we didn't pass it. That's a college. That's
Oh,
not.
okay,
That's
it
a
is a
college.
college.
It's what we call a senior school. We would call colleges senior school, but if you're going on to third level education, it would be university, or it could be a technical college or a college of cookery. You know, there are other words that are used for college, but
A trade school.
yeah, a senior school there. That's for boys now, St. Kieran's College. Traditionally, that would have been run by, we'd say, Christian brothers or priests, but that's not the case anymore. We don't have very few priests actually in Ireland, and certainly very few. Are we going left to Waterford? Is it here? Look, we better go around the roundabout so you can see the sign here.
Ah, you know where it is.
You know where it is, yeah. Okay. So anyway, you know, there are more non-fee paying schools than fee paying schools, if you know what I mean. And the schools are excellent. You know, the ones that are non-fee paying are excellent. It just depends on the location that you're in. If you're in a big city, then obviously it's preferable if you're in a fee paying school, if you can afford it, because the classes will be much smaller. But the level of and the standard of education is pretty high, you know. So there's a huge emphasis on young people in Ireland getting an education.
Sounds similar to the U.S.
So we're slightly inland, and we're going to head down towards the south part of Ireland, the southern coast of Ireland, so to speak. And down at the bottom you have a different sea. You have the Celtic Sea. On the east coast you have the Irish Sea, the west coast the Atlantic, the south coast the Celtic Sea, and the north coast you have both part of the North Sea and part of the Atlantic Ocean. They actually meet way up in the very north. I'll be talking about that when we're up near the Giant's Causeway. Anyway, we are heading to Waterford, and I'd like you to notice the difference in the places that we go to today, because some places like Kilkenny is very prosperous. I don't know whether you notice that or not when you're walking around. It's a busy city, it's a prosperous city. Waterford, not so. Waterford, not so. Now, we're going to visit the Waterford Crystal showroom and factory. And I'm not sure if all of you are aware, certainly some of you will be aware, that Waterford Crystal closed down about 8 or 9 years ago, with the loss of thousands of jobs for the Waterford Crystal workers. And it was hugely controversial, because an awful lot of people had tried to keep it open, including a very well-known businessman. Now, he might not be familiar to you, a man called, gone right out of my head, he was the head of the Heinz Beans Corporation, and he worked in the United States. He was involved in the Irish Fund many years ago when the troubles were in Northern Ireland. Tony O'Reilly. I don't know if depends on where you live in the United States. Some people are familiar with his name. Anyway, Tony O'Reilly married to a Greek heiress, second marriage. His first wife died some years back, just fairly recently actually, but they had divorced. She was an Australian lady, very, very wealthy man. He, in conjunction with his wife's brother, put millions of pounds or euros into trying to keep Waterford Crystal open, but they were not successful. The reason they closed it down is, first of all, there's very much less demand on Waterford glass. Now, when I was, getting married, that was one of the presents that people would always give you. They'd give you Waterford crystal bowls and Waterford crystal glasses and Waterford crystal vases. And these were frightfully expensive gifts. Never really appreciated them, I suppose, when we were that young getting married. But anyway, that's what they did. And people would, have them on their wedding lists and things. That's all changed because young people want things that they can put into the dishwasher and wash. They don't want to have to hand wash all these glasses, and so the demand had gone down. The cost of producing these wonderful pieces of crystal was very expensive. So it became cheaper to produce them out of Ireland, where the manpower would cost less. So sadly, they closed down. Now it's a happy story because that's not the end of it. So there were many people that lost their jobs there, and there was a sit-in, and all kinds of things were happening. And it's only in the last year that the workers have discovered that they're going to get their full pension, because there was a question as to whether they would get it or not. People that went to Waterford Crystal, especially if you were in the glass cutting, and if you're becoming a master cutter, you would have had to train for many years to have that special quality and that talent to be able to do all of that, because everything was freehand and everything was a perfect piece, and that's what made it so expensive. The intricacies of the designs, the great skills involved in doing all of that. And so when it was decided to close down, there was devastation. People were extremely sad. However, they've opened a new small factory, which is where you're going to see today, and certainly some pieces are now produced in Ireland more and more. And the Chamber of Commerce in the city of Waterford has provided a scholarship for young people, or funding for young people that have these skills to train again in the art of beautifully cutting glass. So that's a good news story. The showroom that you'll be able to go into to have a look at today has all of the wonderful pieces, the chandeliers, the wonderful glasses, wonderful vases and vases, wonderful fruit bowls, wonderful pieces that you can see. And of course they do still sell it, but they would not have the volume of staff that they had when the factory was in full swing. But little by little, it's coming back up again, and they're extremely proud of their product. The city of Waterford, would be a Viking city, founded in the 9th century, and it didn't get a lot of investment. We have areas of Ireland that would have had a lot of foreign investment and a lot of employment. Waterford is not one of these cities, and you can see the difference. The little area that we're going to, where Waterford Glass looks prosperous, but if you walk around the city, you can see that it is definitely not as prosperous as the city of Kilkenny. So it's nice to notice these little differences. So that's where we're going today, and we're due for a visit at 9:40. 9:40. They're very specific, about the timings in these places, because they are so busy, which is wonderful. And you'll have a guide that will take, perhaps two guides that will take you across from the showroom into the factory itself. And that little visit takes about 40 minutes. So you will have time to look around, time to use the restroom facilities, time, to enjoy it. Photograph a little further down, well, a good bit further down. You have all kinds of plants that you have not in any other part of Ireland. You have alpine plants and subtropical plants. These are little small flowers though that grow amongst the crevices of the rocks. They have about, I think it's about 27 different varieties of wild orchid. And it's an area that's visited by a lot of people. The best way to see it is on foot, because you know, you have to kind of walk on the area. Buses really can't go up in these very, very narrow passages that are further up in the hills. So foot, you'll see lots of signs for walking tours. But just so that you know, coming into this area now called the Burren, a little bit more about it in a moment.
There's a few left.
It's pretzel. Oh. They save you some.
Oh, thank you.